The diplomatic chamber smelled like ozone and disappointment. David Walsh had breathed that same air for 10 years now, watching alien faces twist into expressions that all meant the same thing across every species: contempt. Today felt different though, worse. High Arbiter Selena's floated above the central dais, its energy form pulsing with colors that David's translator chip rendered as smugness. The Psalmary had ruled the Galactic Council for 3,000 years, and they never let anyone forget it. Petition denied, Selena's announced, its voice like wind chimes made of ice. For the 8th consecutive cycle, humanity's request for council membership is rejected. David kept his face neutral. Behind him, his aide Rachel Kim tensed, but she stayed silent. They had practiced this moment, expected it even. What came next made David's blood run cold. Furthermore, Selena's continued, the Council has voted to implement new protection taxes on all human colonial holdings. 17 settlements across 9 systems will contribute 40% of their gross production to Council security forces. This is effective immediately. Protection from what? David asked, keeping his voice level. War Marshal Grendak laughed, a sound like rocks grinding together. The Drachner was massive, even seated. His scales gleamed under the station's lights, deep red and black, the colors of dried blood and void. From yourselves, human, your kind spreads like infection. You build on worlds you have no right to touch. We generously allow you to exist, and you complain about the cost. Merchant Lord Pitrin clicked its mandibles in agreement. The Panari looked like a praying mantis had married a spider and then grown to the size of a horse. Its compound eyes reflected David in 1,000 tiny fragments. Your species has contributed nothing of value to galactic civilization. No technology, no art, no philosophy worth discussing. You are primitives from a death world, and you should be grateful we permit you to leave your mudball planet at all. David felt Rachel's hand on his arm, a gentle warning. He took a breath. We have submitted over 200 research papers to the Council's scientific database. Advances in medical technology, agricultural efficiency, materials science. Stolen, Selena's interrupted, or so primitive they barely qualify as science. Humanity has nothing we need. Then why the taxes? David asked. If we're so worthless, why do you care what we do on the frontier? The chamber fell silent. David saw it then, in the way Selena's light dimmed slightly, in how Grendak's scales rippled, in the minute adjustment of Pitrin's posture. They were hiding something. The matter is settled, Selena said finally. You will pay or face sanctions, military sanctions. David's earpiece crackled. Rachel's voice came through on a private channel. Sir, emergency transmission from New Horizon Colony. Council fleet inbound. ETA 40 minutes. David's heart hammered. New Horizon was home to 340,000 people, families, children. His sister lived there with her 2 kids. You've already sent ships, David said, his voice flat. Grendak smiled, showing rows of crystal-sharp teeth. Compliance enforcement. Your colony will surrender all military assets and accept Council oversight, or we will take them by force. We have a defense pact, David said. You're violating. We are the law, Selena's cut him off. We make the rules, you follow them. That is the natural order. That is how it has always been. David stood slowly. He looked at each of them in turn. The ancient energy being who thought itself a god. The warrior species who measured worth in subjugation. The merchants who saw everything as property to be bought and sold. You're making a mistake, David said quietly. Pitrin's laughter sounded like breaking glass. Is that a threat? From a species that has been spacefaring for barely 15 years, you have no fleet, no weapons that could challenge even our oldest ships. You are nothing. David reached into his jacket pocket. Every weapon system in the room targeted him instantly. He moved slowly, carefully, pulling out a data chip. He placed it on the podium in front of him. This contains evidence of every patent theft, every suppressed human innovation, every lie you've told about our capabilities. 347 verified incidents over the past decade. You've been stealing our research and claiming we have nothing to offer. Selena's light flickered. Where did you? It doesn't matter, David said. What matters is that we know, and soon so will every other species in this chamber. All 47 council members, including the 23 species you claim to protect but actually exploit. You would spread lies, Grendek growled, leaning forward. Truth, David corrected. And I'm giving you one chance. Withdraw your ships from New Horizon, cancel the protection taxes, open real negotiations for our membership. Do this and the data stays sealed. Selena's laughed, a sound like Aurora Borealis given voice. Or what? You'll fight us. You and what army, little human? David's earpiece crackled again. Rachel's voice. Sir, President Chen is on the line. Protocol Blackstone is active. He wants authorization to proceed. David looked at the council one last time. He thought about his sister, about the 340,000 people on New Horizon, about every human who had ever been told they were lesser, primitive, worthless. Last chance, David said. Grendak stood, his full 3 meters of height towering over the chamber. We do not negotiate with prey. Your colony will fall. Then we will come for Earth itself. You will learn your place in this galaxy, humans, on your knees. David pressed a button on his earpiece. Mr. President, this is Ambassador Walsh. They've rejected all terms. New Horizon is under direct threat. I recommend we show them what prey can do when cornered. He heard President Chen's voice, calm and cold. Recommendation accepted. Operation Thunderhead is go. May God have mercy on their souls because we won't. David looked up at Selena's. We came to you in peace. We asked only for equality. You chose violence. He picked up the data chip. Humanity has a saying, don't start fights, but always finish them. He turned and walked toward the exit. Behind him, he heard Pitrin's confused chittering. Where are you going? We have not dismissed you. David stopped at the doorway. He looked back one final time. You wanted to see what a death world produces, he said. You're about to find out. Earth's rage is going to shake the stars, and you'll only have yourselves to blame. The door sealed behind him with a hiss of hydraulics. Rachel fell into step beside him as they headed for their ship. How long until our fleet arrives at New Horizon? David asked. Rachel checked her tablet. 20 minutes. They'll beat the council forces by half an hour. David nodded. Good, let's go home. We have a war to win. Behind them, in the council chamber, Selena's watched the human ambassador disappear. It felt something it had not experienced in 3,000 years. Doubt. Rebecca Stone watched the evacuation numbers scroll across her screen and tried not to scream. 340,000 people, 62 transport ships, 4 hours to load everyone if things went perfectly. Things never went perfectly. Director Stone, Council Fleet just dropped out of FTL, her communications officer reported. 40 warships, they're forming attack pattern Delta 7. Rebecca pulled up the tactical display. New Horizon colony hung in space like a jewel, 6 orbital platforms connected by transport tubes, agricultural domes spreading across the surface of the moon below. 15 years of human sweat and dreams, built from nothing. Commander Alan Boyd's face appeared on her screen. His small defense force, 3 frigates and 12 fighters, looked like toys next to the Council Armada. Rebecca, get those civilians moving faster, Alan said. I can buy you maybe an hour, 2 if I'm lucky and they're stupid. Don't do anything heroic, Rebecca said. Alan smiled. It didn't reach his eyes. Heroic is just another word for necessary. Stone, when this is over, someone needs to tell the story. Make sure they know we didn't go quietly. His image winked out. Rebecca watched his ships accelerate toward the Council fleet, 3 small points of light heading into darkness. War Marshal Grendak's face filled every screen in the colony simultaneously, his scaled features twisted into what might have been a smile. "Humans of New Horizon Colony," his voice boomed through every speaker. "You have violated Council law by maintaining military forces without authorization. You have exactly 10 minutes to power down all weapons and surrender command codes. Resist, and we will demonstrate why the Drachner have ruled the outer sectors for 2,000 years." Rebecca opened a channel. "This is Director Stone. We're evacuating civilians. Give us 6 hours and we'll—" "You have 9 minutes," Grendak interrupted. "I suggest you spend them praying to whatever primitive gods you worship." The channel died. Rebecca looked at her second-in-command, Oliver Grant. "How many people are on the transports?" 40,000. Maybe 50 if we pack them in like cargo." "Do it. Get every warm body on those ships. Forget personal belongings. Forget everything except lives." Oliver nodded and started shouting orders. Rebecca pulled up Alan's tactical feed. His ships were spreading out, trying to force the Council fleet to divide its attention. It didn't work. The Council warships moved with practiced precision. They'd done this before, Rebecca realized. Crushed smaller forces, destroyed anyone who dared resist. Alan's lead frigate, the Defiance, opened fire first. Railgun rounds and missiles streaked toward the enemy formation. They impacted shields and vanished like raindrops on glass. Return fire lit up space. The Defiance's shields blazed orange, then red, then failed. The ship tumbled, atmosphere venting from a dozen hull breaches. "Defiance is gone," her tactical officer reported. "No escape pods." Rebecca's hands clenched. 200 people on that ship, 200 lives snuffed out in seconds. Alan's remaining ships scattered, diving into New Horizons' orbital field. The Council ships followed, firing continuously. The human fighters weaved between debris and platforms, returning fire when they could. They managed to damage 2 Council destroyers before superior numbers crushed them. "Last transport is loading now," Oliver reported. 80,000 people on board. We need another 3 hours for the rest." "We don't have 3 hours," Rebecca said. On her screen, Alan's flagship took a direct hit. The ship broke in half, reactors going critical. The explosion took out one of the orbital platforms. Rebecca's earpiece crackled. "Director, this is Transport Group Alpha. We're clear of the station. Jumping to FTL in 30 seconds. "Go," Rebecca ordered. "Don't wait for the rest of us." She watched the transports vanish into hyperspace. 80,000 saved. 260,000 still on the station. Grendak's fleet moved into position around the colony. His face reappeared on every screen. "Your military assets are destroyed. Power down your station and prepare for occupation. You will pay reparations equal to 40% of your production for the next 50 years. You will accept Council oversight of all operations. You will submit, or you will die." Rebecca stood up. She looked around at her command center. Engineers, administrators, civilians who had volunteered to help. They looked back at her, waiting. "We don't submit," she said quietly. Then louder, "We don't submit." Her crew echoed the words, "We don't submit." Grendak's expression shifted to confusion, then rage. "You dare." "We're humans," Rebecca interrupted. "We don't kneel, not to you, not to anyone." She cut the transmission and turned to Oliver. "Activate Emergency Protocol 7. Evacuate everyone who's left to the surface. They want the station. They can have it." Oliver's eyes widened. "Director, that's—" "An order, move." 20 minutes later, Rebecca stood on New Horizons' surface, watching her life's work orbit overhead. The Council ships had docked with the station, troops flooding aboard to secure what they thought was a prize. Rebecca raised her hand. She held a detonator, nothing fancy, just a simple wireless trigger connected to every fusion reactor on the station. "For Alan," she whispered, "for the Defiance, for everyone who thought we'd just give up." She pressed the button. The station's 6 reactors overloaded simultaneously. The explosion outshone the local sun for 3 full seconds. Grendak's closest ships, docked and vulnerable, vanished in the fireball. Others tumbled away, shields overwhelmed, hulls burning. When the light faded, the orbital station was gone. 7 Council warships were debris. Another 12 were crippled and drifting. Rebecca's communicator buzzed, a new voice, crisp and professional. "New Horizons survivors, this is Admiral Patricia Cross of the Earth Defense Fleet. We're inbound with 200 ships and some very angry humans. Sit tight. We'll take it from here." Rebecca looked up. The sky tore open with blue-white flashes as human warships dropped out of FTL. They moved like sharks, fast and deadly, surrounding Grendak's surviving forces. The Council ships that could still move tried to run. They didn't make it far. Rebecca sat down on the lunar dust and watched humanity's fleet tear apart the armada that had destroyed her home. She felt tears on her face but couldn't tell if they were from grief or rage or satisfaction. Maybe all 3. Grendak's face appeared one last time on her communicator, forced through on emergency frequencies. His ship was burning, shields failing. "This changes nothing," he snarled. "The Council will send more ships, bigger fleets. We will crush you." Admiral Cross's voice cut through. "You're welcome to try, but here's something you should understand about humans. We're really good at holding grudges, and we just got started." Rebecca watched Grendak's flagship break apart under sustained fire. She thought about the 260,000 people she couldn't save, about Alan and his crew, about every human who had died today because the Council thought they were weak. "They wanted a war," she said to the empty lunar landscape. "They're going to get one." 3 months into the war, and High Arbiter Salinas was learning to feel fear. The holographic display showed 17 battle sites across the galaxy. Red markers indicated Council defeats. There were too many red markers. "Explain this," Salinas demanded, its energy form pulsing angry crimson. "We have superior numbers, superior technology. We have ruled this galaxy for millennia. How are we losing to primitives?" Intelligence Director Varn, a 4-armed Quellan with silver skin, shuffled through data tablets. His species had invented faster-than-light travel. They understood warfare. They should have understood this. "The humans are not fighting conventionally," Varn said carefully. "They hit supply lines. They ambush patrol groups. They disappear before we can respond. And their technology," he paused, mandibles clicking nervously, "their technology is not primitive." Salinas swept one glowing appendage through the hologram, scattering the projection. "Show me." Varn activated a recording from the Battle of Titan's Gate. Council ships, proud and powerful, converged on a human colony. Then the humans arrived. Their ships looked wrong. Too smooth, too angular, built from materials that seemed to drink light rather than reflect it. They moved wrong too, shifting and darting with impossible precision. "Watch the lead vessel," Varn said, highlighting a human destroyer. "It phases." On screen, the human ship flickered. One moment solid, the next translucent, then gone entirely. It reappeared inside the Council formation, firing at point-blank range before vanishing again. "Quantum tunneling technology," Varn explained. "They shift partially out of normal space. Our weapons can't lock on. Our shields can't stop them." "Impossible," Salinas breathed. "That theory was discarded 5,000 years ago. The power requirements alone." "They solved it," Varn interrupted. "A breach of protocol that would normally mean death. Just like they solved adaptive shielding, AI combat coordination, and biological weapons targeting specific genetic markers." Merchant Lord Pitrin entered the chamber. its usual confident stride reduced to a nervous scuttle. The Terran Liberation Front has broadcast our classified files across 40 systems. 23 species are demanding explanations. The Kelser Combine has withdrawn from the Council entirely. The Yulani Assembly is threatening the same. Selena's turned on the Panari. This is your fault. You said they were primitive. You said they had nothing worth stealing. I was wrong, Pitrin said simply. The admission shocked everyone in the room. Merchant lords never admitted error. We all were. The humans have been playing a different game this entire time. While we stole their basic research, they kept their real innovations hidden. The Mars excavation alone. What Mars excavation? Selena's demanded. Pitrin pulled up an image. Ancient structures buried under red dust. Technology that predated human spaceflight by millions of years. They found ruins, artifacts. Some kind of advanced civilization that died out long before humans evolved. They've been studying it, reverse engineering it, improving on it. For 30 years in complete secrecy. Varn added another file to the display. Their AI systems alone are beyond anything we've developed. Where we use simple automation, they've created true artificial intelligence. Every human ship has a digital mind that thinks, learns, adapts. It's like fighting 200 species at once because each ship fights differently. We still have numerical advantage, Selena's insisted. War Marshal Grendak commands 2,000 ships in the Grand Fleet. He will crush Earth itself and end this rebellion. Grendak is an idiot, Pitrin said flatly, and he's about to lead our forces into a massacre. Selena's blazed bright with fury. You dare. I dare because I'm trying to save what's left of the Council, Pitrin snapped. The humans don't want to conquer us. They want equality, but Grendak has made this personal. He's obsessed with revenge. He'll throw every ship we have against Earth's defenses and he'll lose. And when he loses, we lose everything. Then stop him, Selena's ordered. I can't. He won't accept my communications. He's convinced his honor demands victory. Pitrin's mandibles clicked in what might have been a sigh. The Drachner Empire has a fatal flaw. They measure worth in battle. They cannot accept that sometimes the smart choice is to retreat. Varn brought up new data. Our agents in human space report massive defensive preparations around Sol system, automated weapons platforms on every moon and asteroid, hidden railgun emplacements in Saturn's rings. Mars has been turned into a fortress, and Earth itself, he zoomed in on humanity's homeworld. Orbital defense grid with overlapping fields of fire. Nothing gets through without authorization. It's a trap, Pitrin said. Grendak is leading our fleet into a carefully prepared killing ground, and he's too proud to see it. Selena's dimmed, its light fading to pale blue. In 3,000 years it had never felt helpless. The Salmari had always been in control. Always. What do? It asked quietly. We negotiate, Pitrin said. We contact Earth directly. We offer full reparations, council membership, whatever they want. We end this before Grendak destroys us all. The other council members are already negotiating privately, Pitrin interrupted. I've had inquiries from 14 species. They want out. They want peace. They're just waiting for someone to make the first move. Selena's floated in silence for a long moment. Finally, it spoke. Send a diplomatic envoy to Earth, full credentials, offer them everything. Varn's mandibles clicked. What about Grendak? Let him go to Sol, Selena said bitterly. Let him learn what we should have understood from the beginning. You don't pick fights with predators, especially when they're protecting their home. Pitrin moved toward the door. I'll prepare the delegation, though I suspect Earth will demand more than just apologies. What could they want? Selena's asked. Pitrin looked back. Everything we took from them. And everything we took from the 23 species we've been exploiting for the last 1,000 years. The humans don't just want justice for themselves. They want it for everyone. After the others left, Selena's hung alone in the chamber. It replayed the battle recordings, watching human ships dance through council formations like death given form. Ambassador Walsh's final words echoed in its memory. Earth's rage is going to shake the stars. Selena's finally understood. The rage wasn't just anger, it was purpose. Humanity had been prey once, hunted by their own world's dangers. They had learned to survive, to adapt, to fight back. And now they were teaching the galaxy the same lesson they had learned in blood and bone across millions of years. Predators can be killed, prey can evolve, and sometimes the hunted become the hunters. Selena's began composing a message to Earth, an apology, a surrender, a prayer that it wasn't already too late. War Marshal Grendak stood on the command deck of his flagship Endless Victory and felt something he had not experienced in 50 years of conquest. His scales itched with anticipation that bordered on desperation. The Grand Fleet surrounded him, 2,000 warships from 17 species, all sworn to council authority. The largest military force assembled in 3 centuries, enough firepower to crack planets. And still, it might not be enough. "Status report," Grendak growled. His tactical officer, a young Drachner named Synth, gestured to the holographic display. "We've lost contact with the advanced scouts. Last transmission showed heavy resistance at Jupiter's orbit." "How heavy?" Synth hesitated. "All 12 scout vessels, destroyed in under 6 minutes. Grendak's claws scraped against the command chair's armrest, leaving deep gouges in the metal. Around him, his bridge crew shifted nervously. They had seen him angry before. This was different. This was fear trying to disguise itself as rage. "We proceed," Grendak said. "Signal the fleet. Battle formation Omega. We hit them with everything." A communication channel opened without authorization. Merchant Lord Pitrin's face appeared, compound eyes reflecting worry. "War Marshal, I urge you to reconsider. Selena's has sent peace envoys to Earth. We can end this without more bloodshed." "Peace?" Grendak spat the word like poison. "They destroyed our forces at New Horizon. They've humiliated the Council across a dozen systems. They've made us look weak." He leaned toward the screen. "I will not negotiate with prey. I will crush them. I will burn their homeworld to ash and scatter the remains as a warning to anyone else who thinks they can challenge Council authority." "You're letting pride cloud your judgment," Pitrin said carefully. "The humans have prepared for this. Every tactical analysis suggests." "I don't care about analysis," Grendak roared. "I care about victory, about showing the galaxy that the Drachner do not lose. Now get off my channel before I add your name to the list of council members who need to remember their place." The transmission ended. Grendak turned back to his crew. "All ships, engage FTL drives. We drop into Sol system in exactly 1 hour, and we don't leave until Earth is conquered or destroyed." The fleet jumped. They emerged into chaos. "Contact," Synth shouted. "Multiple targets. Asteroid belt is lighting up with weapon signatures." Grendak barely had time to process the warning before the first wave hit. What looked like ordinary asteroids suddenly sprouted gun batteries and missile pods. Thousands of them, scattered throughout the belt, all firing simultaneously. "Evasive maneuvers," Grendak ordered, but 2,000 ships couldn't dodge in formation. The first volley destroyed 18 vessels outright and crippled 30 more. "They turned the entire asteroid belt into a minefield," Synth reported, voice rising. "Energy signatures suggest there are at least 10,000 automated platforms. Return fire, clear a path." The fleet's weapons tore into the asteroids, destroying hundreds of platforms. Thousands more activated in response. The Council ships pushed forward, taking losses but maintaining momentum. They made it past Jupiter, past the asteroid belt. Mars' orbit lay ahead, and beyond it Earth itself. That's when the second trap sprung. Saturn's rings, beautiful and serene from a distance, suddenly blazed with energy. What had looked like ice and rock formations were actually massive railgun emplacements. They fired in sequence, 1,000-ton projectiles accelerated to relativistic speeds. The kinetic rounds punched through shields like they weren't there. One shot could split a battleship in half, and they fired every 3 seconds. Losses mounting, Senth reported. 200 ships destroyed, 400 damaged. Keep pushing, Grendek snarled. We're almost through. Mars loomed ahead. The red planet looked peaceful until they got close enough to see the truth. The entire surface bristled with weapons. Gun emplacements covered every major crater. Orbital platforms hung in perfect geometric patterns, creating overlapping fields of fire. And then Mars spoke. Not with words, with weapons. 10,000 guns fired as one. The sky turned white with energy beams and missiles and railgun rounds. The Council fleet's forward elements vanished in the first salvo. The next wave took out everything within 1,000 kilometers of Mars' orbit. Retreat, someone screamed on the command deck. No, Grendek roared. Forward, Earth is just beyond. We take it or we die trying. His fleet, bloodied and broken, pushed past Mars. They left 300 ships behind, burning wrecks tumbling through space. Earth orbit finally came into view. The beautiful blue world hung in space like a jewel. Grendek felt triumph surge through him. Then he saw Earth's defenses. The orbital platforms numbered in the hundreds, each one larger than his flagship. They moved in synchronized patterns, creating a shield wall that surrounded the entire planet. Behind them, thousands of smaller stations added their weapons to the defensive grid. Incoming transmission, Senth said. It's Admiral Cross. A human woman appeared on screen. She looked tired, sad, but not afraid. War Marshal Grendek, she said quietly. You've come a long way to die. I'm giving you one chance. Surrender now. Power down your weapons. Submit to inspectors. You'll be treated fairly under terms of the Geneva Convention. I am Drakner, Grendek said. We do not surrender, we do not submit. We conquer or we fall in battle. There is no other way. Cross nodded slowly. I understand. For what it's worth, I'm sorry. You didn't have to do this. Neither did you, Grendek said. You could have accepted your place, served the Council, lived in peace as our subjects. We tried peace, Cross said. You answered with occupation and threats. You killed thousands of our people. You stole from us, lied to us, exploited us. She leaned forward. Now we're going to show you what happens when you back predators into a corner. The transmission ended. Earth's defenses opened fire. It wasn't a battle, it was an execution. The orbital platforms fired in perfect coordination, each shot calculated by AI systems that thought faster than any organic mind. They targeted weak points, exploited shield gaps, coordinated fire to overwhelm defensive systems. Grendak's fleet fought back desperately. They destroyed 50 platforms, 100, 200. Earth had thousands more. The endless victory shuddered as a railgun round punched through its port shield. Atmosphere vented from a dozen breaches. Emergency alerts screamed from every console. Damage report, Grendek demanded. Hull integrity at 40%, shields failing, port engines offline, Senth's voice cracked. Sir, we need to retreat. Grendek looked at the tactical display. 700 ships remained from his original 2,000. Most were damaged, many were dying. Earth hung before him, untouched and untouchable. He had been so certain, so convinced that superior numbers would win, that the Drakner way, the path of strength and conquest, would prevail. He had been wrong. All ships, Grendek said quietly, continue the attack. Sir, Senth stared at him. I said continue. We are Drakner, we do not run. His fleet obeyed. They died in the trying. The endless victory took another hit, and another. The ship was coming apart around him. Grendek sat in his command chair and watched his empire's pride burn. In his final moments, as the reactor breach alarms wailed, Grendak understood. The humans had never been prey. They had always been predators. They had just been waiting for someone stupid enough to threaten their home. President Howard Chen stood in Earth's command center and watched the battle unfold across dozens of screens. Each display showed a different angle of the carnage in orbit. Council ships burning, escape pods scattering like seeds, human defenses holding firm. Beside him, Admiral Cross coordinated the defense with quiet efficiency. Her voice never rose, never wavered. She gave orders like a surgeon making incisions. Precise, necessary, final. Target the battle group at coordinates 77 Alpha, Cross said. Focus fire, maximum yield. 3 orbital platforms rotated on their axes. Their main guns, each capable of cracking a moon, fired simultaneously. The Council battle group ceased to exist. Chen felt sick, not from weakness, from the waste of it all. Incoming transmission, the communications officer announced. Council frequency, it's High Arbiter Selena's. Chen nodded, put it through. Selena's appeared on the main screen. The Salmary's energy form flickered and pulsed erratically. Fear had a universal language, Chen realized. Even beings of pure light felt it. President Chen, Selena said, I am here to negotiate Earth's surrender terms. Cross barked a laugh. Our surrender, look at your fleet, Arbiter, look at what's left of it. Selena's dimmed. I misspoke. I meant to negotiate the Council's terms of surrender. The command center fell silent. Chen saw the shock on every face. The Council had ruled for 3,000 years. They didn't surrender. They didn't negotiate. They simply were like gravity or entropy. Go on, Chen said carefully. The Council will withdraw all forces from human space immediately. We will pay full reparations for New Horizon colony and all other damages. We will grant humanity full Council membership with voting rights. We will acknowledge all past theft of human intellectual property and provide compensation. Selena's paused. In return, you will cease hostilities and allow our surviving ships to retreat with honor. Chen looked at Cross. The Admiral's expression was unreadable. Around them, command staff waited. No, Chen said. Selena's brightened with confusion. I don't understand. We are offering everything you demanded. Full recognition, compensation, justice. For us, Chen agreed. What about the Kelser, the Yulani, the 23 other species you've been exploiting for centuries? Where's their justice? Selena's flickered. That is a separate matter. No, it's not, Chen interrupted. You came to my planet with the intention of making us slaves. You failed. Now you want to buy your way out with promises and apologies. But you don't get to do that. You don't get to hurt people for centuries and then walk away because someone finally hit back hard enough to make you notice. What do you want? Selena's asked, its voice barely a whisper. Chen pulled up a document on his tablet. These are humanity's actual terms. The Council will be dissolved. In its place, we will form the Galactic Commonwealth. Every member species gets equal representation. One world, one vote. No species gets permanent authority. No exploitation. No tribute. No protection taxes. Impossible, Selena's breathed. The Council has maintained galactic order for 3,000 years, Chen finished. And in that time, how many species have you uplifted? How many civilizations have thrived under your guidance? He leaned forward. None. You don't maintain order. You maintain power. And that ends now. Selena's pulsed angry red. You cannot dictate terms to the entire galaxy. We're not, Cross said. Check your intelligence feeds. 14 species have already contacted us privately. They support the Commonwealth. Another 20 are waiting to see if we actually win this fight. She smiled grimly. We're winning. Chen continued. The Drachner Empire will be disarmed. Military forces reduced to defensive levels only. War Marshal Grendak will be tried for war crimes, along with every other commander who participated in the attack on New Horizon. Grendak is dead, Selena said quietly. His flagship was destroyed 17 minutes ago. The command center erupted in cheers. Chen raised a hand for silence. He felt no joy in the news, only a deep, bone-weary sadness. Then his subordinates will face justice, Chen said. The Council's classified archives will be open to public inspection. Every species will have access to the technologies you've been hoarding. Every treaty you've signed will be renegotiated under Commonwealth oversight. You ask us to give up everything, Selena said. No, Chen corrected. We're asking you to give up what was never yours to take. Power isn't a birthright, it's a responsibility, and you've failed in that responsibility for 3,000 years. Selena's dimmed until it was barely visible. If we refuse. Chen looked at the tactical displays. 400 council ships remained. Most were damaged. All were surrounded by human forces and automated defense platforms. Then we finish what you started, Chen said flatly. We destroy every ship in this system. We pursue your fleet back to Council space. We liberate every species under your control, by force if necessary. And we make sure that the name Galactic Council becomes a cautionary tale told to young civilizations about what happens when power corrupts absolutely. Cross added, we've already distributed our defensive technology to 42 species. Even if you somehow destroyed Earth tomorrow, you can't put that knowledge back in the box. The galaxy knows it can fight back now. And they will. Selena's hung in silence for a long moment. Chen could see other council members gathering on the screen. Pitrin was there, mandibles clicking nervously. Varn and his silver skin. Representatives from a dozen species, all looking defeated. Finally, Selena spoke. The Council accepts your terms. We will transmit the formal surrender within the hour. One more thing, Chen said. Humanity wants Ambassador David Walsh appointed as the first Commonwealth Secretary. He tried to do this peacefully. You forced us to do it with war. Let him build the peace. Selena's brightened slightly, almost a laugh. The human who threatened us with truth, fitting. The psalmody dimmed again. We accept. Is there anything else you would take from us? Chen thought about that. About the people who had died. About Rebecca Stone watching her life's work explode. About Commander Boyd and his crew going down fighting. About every human who had suffered because the Council thought they were weak. Yes, Chen said. I want a promise. From you personally, High Arbiter. Promise me that you'll remember this. Remember what happened when you underestimated a species from a death world. Remember that power without justice is just tyranny. Remember that the strong have a duty to protect the weak, not exploit them. Selena's pulsed bright blue, the color of deep thought. I will remember, President Chen. We all will. The Council thought we were teaching the galaxy how to live. Instead, humanity has taught us how to be civilized. The transmission ended. Cross turned to Chen. We did it, sir. We actually won. Chen nodded slowly. Now comes the hard part. We have to build something better than what we destroyed. We have to prove we're not just good at war. We have to be good at peace. He looked out the viewport at Earth, blue and green and beautiful. Humanity's cradle. Their death world. The planet that had forged them in fire and ice and a million generations of struggle. We survived predators, Chen said quietly. We survived ourselves. Now we get to show the galaxy what survival really means. Not just living, thriving, protecting, building a future where no one has to fight for the right to exist. Cross smiled, no pressure. Chen laughed despite himself. None at all, we just have to change the galaxy. How hard could it be? 1 year after the Battle of Saul, David Walsh walked into the Commonwealth Assembly Hall and allowed himself a moment of quiet satisfaction. The chamber looked nothing like the old council headquarters. No elevated platforms for superior species. No hierarchy based on age or power. Just a circular arrangement of seats, all at the same level. 47 species, equals at last. Rebecca Stone sat in the human delegation. representing the rebuilt New Horizon colony. She caught David's eye and nodded. They both carried scars from the war. Hers were visible, burn marks from the station explosion that she wore like badges of honor. His were internal, memories of all the years spent begging for scraps when humanity deserved a seat at the table. Secretary Walsh, High Arbiter Selena's floated nearby, its energy form now a humble blue instead of the commanding gold it once wore. The assembly is ready to hear your opening address. David took the podium, every eye compound and simple focused on him. He felt the weight of expectation, the fear from some species, the hope from others. 1 year ago, David began, the Galactic Council sent a fleet to conquer Earth. They came with 2,000 ships. They came with certainty that might makes right. They came with the belief that a species from a death world could never challenge galactic order. He paused. 700 ships returned home. The rest became debris orbiting our sun. Some delegates shifted uncomfortably. The Drachner representative, a young warrior named Kelth who had survived the battle, kept his eyes lowered. "I don't say this to celebrate violence," David continued. "I say it because we need to understand how we got here. The old council ruled through fear and exploitation. They stole technology, suppressed innovation, and demanded tribute from species too weak to resist. They created a galaxy where the strong preyed on the weak and called it civilization." Selena's pulsed with what might have been shame. Around the chamber, representatives from the exploited species leaned forward. "The Commonwealth exists to break that cycle," David said. "We're here to prove that cooperation works better than domination, that diversity creates strength, that a galaxy where everyone has a voice is better than one where a few species control everything." Merchant Lord Pitrin clicked its mandibles, the Pinari equivalent of applause. "Fine words, Secretary, but words are cheap. What has the Commonwealth actually accomplished?" David smiled. "Glad you asked. In the past year, we've done the following. We've distributed Earth's defensive technology to every species that wanted it, free of charge. 60 civilizations now have the ability to protect themselves from aggression. We've opened the old council archives and returned stolen research to its original creators. The Kelser have their quantum engine designs back. The Yulani recovered their medical databases. 17 species have regained technologies that the council claimed never existed." He pulled up a holographic display showing trade routes. "Commerce is up 40% across all Commonwealth space. Without protection taxes and tribute requirements, species have resources to invest in themselves. Education, infrastructure, art, the things that actually make civilizations great." A small delegate, a Farron named Solis whose species had been oppressed for centuries, raised tentacles. "What about military force? The Council maintained peace through superior firepower. How does the Commonwealth prevent aggression?" David gestured to Admiral Cross, who stood at attention near the human delegation. "We've created the Commonwealth Defense Initiative. Every member species contributes what they can, ships or resources or personnel, to a unified fleet. Not to conquer, to protect." Cross stepped forward. "The CDI operates under strict rules of engagement. We intervene only when requested by a member world or when we detect clear aggression. We don't occupy, we don't exploit, we defend and withdraw. In the past year, we've responded to 12 incidents, all resolved without occupation or permanent military presence." Kelth, the Drachner representative, rose slowly. His scales were dull compared to Grendak's proud crimson. "My people are ashamed of what we did. War Marshal Grendak led us to ruin with his pride. The Drachner Empire is fractured, weak, humiliated." He looked directly at David. "Yet you offered us membership in the Commonwealth. Why?" David met his gaze. "Because the Commonwealth isn't about punishing the past. It's about building a better future. The Drachner people aren't responsible for their leaders' crimes. You deserve the chance to prove you can be something more than conquerors." Kelth's scales rippled with emotion. Then I pledge the new Drakner Republic to Commonwealth principles. We will learn. We will change. We will become worthy of the trust you've shown us. Applause echoed through the chamber. Not polite diplomatic clapping, but genuine appreciation. David saw tears on some delegates' faces. Hope, he realized. They were feeling hope. Selena's floated to the center of the chamber. I speak now not as High Arbiter, for that position no longer exists, but as representative of the Salmari people. For 3,000 years my species led the council. We believed ourselves wise. Instead, we were arrogant. We believed we were bringing order. Instead, we were bringing oppression. The ancient being dimmed almost to invisibility. Humanity taught us a hard lesson. They showed us that true strength comes from protecting others, not controlling them. That wisdom means admitting when you're wrong, that the greatest civilizations are those that lift others up instead of holding them down. Selena's brightened slightly. The Salmari will spend the next 1,000 years trying to earn forgiveness for the last 3,000. We will serve. We will learn. We will remember that power is a responsibility, not a privilege. David felt his throat tighten. He had spent 10 years fighting the council. He had expected to spend the rest of his life hatting them. Instead, here was genuine remorse. Real change. The Commonwealth isn't perfect, David said. We'll make mistakes. We'll have disagreements. Some species will want to go faster, others slower. That's fine. That's democracy. What matters is that we're trying to build something based on cooperation instead of domination. He looked around the chamber at the 47 species gathered there. Some had been enemies weeks ago. Others had been strangers. Now they were colleagues, partners, friends perhaps in time. Earth's rage did shake the stars, David said quietly. But that rage came from love. Love of freedom. Love of justice. Love of the simple idea that every species, no matter how small or weak or different, deserves dignity and respect. He gestured to the assembly. This is what that rage built. Not an empire, not a new council, a commonwealth, a place where the weak can become strong, where the strong choose to protect instead of exploit, where death worlds like Earth, instead of being scorned, are valued for the resilience they create. David stepped back from the podium. The Galactic Council learned the cost of underestimating humans. Now let's teach the galaxy the benefit of working together. Let's show them that the species who came from a death world aren't conquerors. We're gardeners, and we're going to help this whole galaxy bloom. The chamber erupted in approval. Not just the exploited species, but the reformed ones too. Even Selena's glowed bright with what looked like joy. David returned to his seat beside Rebecca. She leaned over and whispered, "Not bad for a guy who used to beg for scraps." David smiled. "We're not begging anymore, we're building." Outside the windows, ships from 47 species hung in formation. Not a battle fleet, a community. Each vessel different, unique, valuable. Humanity had come from a death world. They had survived ice ages and predators and their own worst instincts. They had learned to adapt, to innovate, to protect each other. And now they were teaching the galaxy the most important lesson of all. Survival isn't about being the strongest. It's about making everyone around you stronger too. The Commonwealth was proof that death worlds didn't just create survivors. They created guardians, protectors, species who understood suffering deeply enough to prevent it in others. Earth's rage had shaken the stars, but Earth's compassion would remake the galaxy.